I think it's working. Oh, yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah. Oh, okay. Sorry, I haven't done one of these in a while. This is not a Sports Goofs canon podcast because we're actually getting ready for our 10th. What? Why are people slowing down? I'm going slow as molasses. Come on. They see cops and it's like, okay. Unless you're doing something wrong, maybe that's why. Okay, so the Sports Goofs drive cast. I'm driving to a destination right now, and this is just kind of a mini cast, or the drive cast as I'm calling it, where I just talk for no apparent reason other than the fact that I'm bored. Maybe talk about some sports news, but not talk too much. I don't want to take away any topics from Sir Charles and Senor Frijoles and maybe even Dougie Souls, who's we're trying to figure out where the heck he is. He's like Carmen Sandiego. You just don't know where he is at. He's probably robbing a bank somewhere, a big heist like Carmen Sandiego. You gotta find her, with clues and stuff. Maybe Doug will have a game show. We have to find out where he's at. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just talking silliness right now. So, I guess something that I don't talk about on the cast. The last podcast that we did, I had to cut a bit short because I had somewhere to be that evening. But the 10th episode, we should have something really good going for that episode. I think we're really gonna try and bring some stuff together, and it's actually gonna be pretty cool. It's actually gonna be pretty cool. I plan. Hopefully, I won't be sent out anywhere next week for work, so I don't have to do it from afar. But we are planning a regular long episode, 2 hours. I don't suspect we'll do anything like 3 hours long, and that might be a little too long for us. But we've got some ideas that we're throwing around for the next one. I just got to work on it this weekend. I really am going to put some time and effort really into this 10th episode because you know what, just the fact that we've got this thing up and running and we're getting it more consistent, and we're trying to I'm just a turnover for my channel. I'm gaining subscribers still, which is amazing, and I've focused my channel to this new thing a while ago. So it just means that some people are biting on what we're throwing out there. So hopefully more people will latch on to us. We really do try and make a good episode. Really try and talk about things that we feel and that we know about. Maybe something a little different from what you hear from regular sports outlets, let's say. I mean, look, my history, and I guess it's more deeply involved than even what. Well, actually, I can't really say that because Andrew's very, very much into the various communities, especially college football. He's got more ins with those people than anyone. He even had the flag for the college game day, so that's really great, and that's why he brings a lot to the table. Charles is a very articulate human being. He's got some really different takes than what me and Andrew would even have. I mean, just the last episode, he feels Hall of Fames are just kind of not even necessary, really. I kind of get his point. For me, Hall of Fames are just glorified museums for sports, and maybe they're not all that they're cracked up to be. Maybe we put those guys maybe on too high of a pedestal. Yes, they were great, and some of the best of all time, but maybe that subjectivity is what kind of eats at him. But he's very knowledgeable about. He's kind of like he's like the Mario of our group. He's kind of all around in pretty much most areas of sports, whether it be football or basketball or baseball. The hockey stuff, it's kind of me and Andrew follow that more than anything. For me, it's hockey is actually my deepest background more than anything, and it's a shame that my job has kind of kept me away from writing about it and talking more about it, which is why I'm hoping this show is that outlet for me to be able to do it at least once a week. For those of you who don't know, I used to it's the time commitment. I can't really be part of it, even though I do pop in Litterbox Cats, which is one of the many websites for SB Nation. They are the Florida Panthers affiliated site where, well, not affiliated with the Panthers themselves, but they are the Florida Panthers website for that network. And the guys that brought me on, fantastic guys, very fans just like you and me and whoever's listening to this. I think that's what drove me in the most, was that they were just regular guys, just guys who had 9-to-5 jobs or what have you, and just on the side talked about their passion for this sport that's given them so much joy. And it was great for me because I picked up hockey literally 2 seasons before that. So, but I guess it was just a fresh perspective from a guy who was just learning about the sport and just thinking about what it was and what could be. And so I give a lot of reverence to the sports and its history, and I guess I look at things from a different perspective. I have a graphic design degree, and I do graphics for them every season. The graphics I did this year were based on the menus for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. That design, when you go into Smash, you're playing a multiplayer. I based it on the character selection UI, the user interface. So that was nice. I have to form the website. It's tricky with the website because there's different, depending on whether it's on mobile, whether it's on a PC, just different ways that it pops out. So I kind of hope next year I can make a format which kind of melds well, so that when you see the website, the game threads, which is what I do, you can see all the information right on the front page rather than having to click, and then you can see the whole thing that I made. I always do the menus based on a video game. I did one on GoldenEye 007. I did Smash Brothers for Wii U one season. Last season was completely based on Sonic Mania, and those were my favorite by far. Those are my favorite by far. I liked this season because it allowed me to play around with the alternate logos for teams, which is great. But sorry guys, I had it left there on the Yahoo page, but I'm only on here just so because it updates pretty frequently, the scores and everything. It's only 7:05, so I just have it on there, but I know where I'm going. I don't need my GPS or anything like that. What was it? The fact is that I'm well, I was talking about the graphics. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but I really like last season's more than anything. This season, I liked making it because it was, yeah, like I said, the secondary logos were really fun to use. I think it was really great, but guy selling water on the side, he's pretty funny. And so next season's gonna be pretty cool. Hopefully we'll get some new logos and things like that so I can play around with them. And I wonder what new hot game I'll probably be obsessed with, and thus I'll be inspired by that user interface. Like I said, I base it on the menus for those games. Yeah, my background was hockey. I've done some press stuff with the Florida Panthers, conference calls, press conferences, games themselves. So I come from that background, and it's kind of a great little thing because it gave me some perspective. If anything, it gave me some perspective as to, you know, how much work gets put into a game, and just basically that, you know, those guys on the field or on the court or on the ice or what have you are just regular dudes just like you and me, except, you know, they get paid a lot more than most of us out there. However, they work hard for what they do. So I'm pretty sure almost 99% of them don't take it for granted. But it's still, as a fan, it's so hard. It's hard to be objective when you're up there. You learn to be objective, and that's why I think some fans, and I heard it on the radio, I think it was Ira Winderman of the South Florida Sun Sentinel. He was talking on 560 WQAM, and he was saying how some fans think that going up to these players and these coaches and these front office people and telling them what they ought to do, as many fans think, is simple, and it's not. It really isn't. It's really not that simple at all. They're human beings like you and me, and then most fans that criticize and say, you know, and would totally call a guy garbage, you know, on Twitter or on websites like on SB Nation or calling in on radio programs. They would think that, and they would write that as much as they want to those guys on Twitter, and, you know, be keyboard warriors, if you will. But when you're up there face to face with those guys, and most of them are over 6 feet tall and with more muscle than you could ever have in your life, yeah, just try it. Just try and do that. Just try and tell them what you think. And most of them will try and ignore, like, you know, just brush it off or what have you. But man, you don't try and get on any of their bad sides. And so, especially when you're one of those guys that deals with them daily, they have to see them almost every day because of their job. So you can't just tell them, hey, just tell Ryan Tannehill he's garbage. And it's like, no, you can think that, and you can. Why don't you go up and tell him when you go out to Dolphins training camp, go out there and get up next to him when he's signing autographs for kids, and be like, hey, you know, and tell him what you really think about him. I'm sure most people won't do that. And I've got off on a really big tangent there, but it's all about and this kind of ties into, you know, Sports Goofs. We're fans. And I say the Dolphins are terrible all the time, but it's just the fan in me that's talking there. But there is an objective side to it, and I hope that our show evolves to have fun with it, but at the same time not get too overboard. Now, I don't want to be like completely insane and just be yelling like Stephen A. Smith or saying completely biased things like Skip Bayless. I think one of the issues that I do have with current sports media, the mainstream one on TV, it's why I've stopped watching ESPN. I don't watch ESPN outside of any game that I have any interest in. The games, I'll watch the games, but as soon as they, cut to Sports Center or what have you, I'm done. Like, I will not even watch Sports Center because it's gotten to the point where it's ridiculous to me. It used to be ESPN used to report. It used to be just like it used to be a news station. Let's say it used to be a straight up news station where they would give you news about the sports. They would have Sports Center, which would cover the Sports Center at 6 o'clock, which would cover the sports that are coming up right now. They would have this, or coming up soon, the Sports Center at 11 after most of the East Coast games, some of the Central games, and then kind of getting into the West Coast games are going through that. And then on the side, they would have their NFL show, their college football show, their baseball show, their basketball show. When they used to cover hockey, they used to have a hockey show, and I guess a college basketball show maybe every once in a while or something like that. And then they'd have their other they'd show some of the I guess lesser sports or lesser things that they want to cover every once in a while with and then ESPN's too is for all the stuff that all the obscure stuff, if you will, if you want to call it that. So that's how ESPN used to be. It used to be just kind of more objective, and then the opinion stuff started happening, and then now they've gone fully on board with reporting the popular stuff because that's what they do. And it's people think it all started with LeBron and the NBA right now, Golden State Warriors, and this whole thing with the NFL. And when it really started? I'll tell you when it started. It started when they had was it Sal Paolantonio following Barry Bonds around at almost everywhere, every game. Everything was about Barry Bonds at one point. It was just all Barry Bonds, all Barry Bonds, all Barry Bonds, all Barry Bonds. And then there was that time with Roger Clemens, and it was just all Roger Clemens, all Roger Clemens, all Roger Clemens, all that was the start of it. And then it got really ridiculous with Brett Favre when they had the guy sitting outside of his Brett Favre's Mississippi house every single day, waiting for Brett Favre to make a decision on whether he was going to retire or not. That's when ESPN started becoming more of just kind of this ridiculousness as to, I guess it became more for normies, for sports normies, if you want to call it, right? That's when I start, and then I guess my bias with the Miami Heat, I endured all that until LeBron teamed up with Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami. The whole thing with the Miami Heat, they had the Heat Index on the website. And then it just became this whole, the vitriol at first. That 2011-2012, or the 2010-2011 season. That vitriol from ESPN, I remember in the off season, and remember the NBA lockout happened for the 2011-12 season. I remember that I got to a point where the hate, or I guess it was a produced hate. That was the thing. It was a produced hate that it made me sick. I could tell, I felt man, do they really feel this, or is this just kind of or are they just baiting people to watch through that, through creating a controversy or what have you. So that's when I decided, all right, I'm just not going to watch ESPN outside of them having a game that I can only watch on their channel. And that's what I did. Miami Heat broadcasts, I would go straight with my local channel with Sun Sports. That would be it. That's if ESPN was covering a Miami Heat game, I would watch the Sun Sports version if there was the alternative. So I just didn't. So my take on sports, like reporting now, I think it's all becoming, and what it's all becoming more with the internet, especially. You can find sports news the normal way now. Well, not the normal. You can find sports news outside of the normal way, or not the normal way, the way it used to be, which was through newspapers or through. Used to be just your local TV station would just report on whatever your local team did, and then ESPN was just the big dog that would do it after that. Now you have your local sports channels, and you can still get stuff for them too, but it's not that much. I mean, Fox Sports Florida down here, if in the afternoon they're just covered. If you want to watch a fishing show, you could, but not getting your big sports news from that. You go online. And that's where you get your sports news. And like me, I like right now the Atlanta Hawks and Boston Celtics right now. Dear Lord, the Hawks are just gonna get destroyed, aren't they? I just realized that game just started. I don't care about that game. I really don't. I don't even know who's on the Atlanta Hawks right now. But if you're a Hawks fan, go on SB Nation's Hawks website. Okay? And Charles actually just sent me a thing on Facebook about Sean Darius of Phillips FIU played 2018 season with a warrant out for his arrest. Okay, all right, FIU, great job. That's one of my alma maters. Okay, well, maybe we'll talk about that on maybe Tuesday would be the episode, not Wednesday. And so now you can get podcasts about your favorite teams, or like it's just become a different beast. Now everybody's got a I've got my own podcast now. Sheesh. But I think it's fun. I'm hoping our personality clicks with some people. It's all for fun. I'm not expecting to be urinating tree or five points vids or sports vids or whatever. I don't expect to be those guys. I don't want to be Total Pro Sports because they're like they just churn things out like ad nauseum. I on YouTube, if you've ever seen Total Pro Sports, their videos are cookie cutter, very much just churning things out by the boatload, because they figured out what the YouTube algorithm wants and likes, and so I've always I've always clicked not interested in any time their videos pop up on my feed, because it really is just garbage for sports fans, for normies. I think it's a normie channel. It's a normie channel. So if you're really into the real stuff, 5 Points Vids. He does his list, but he actually kind of he's opinionated himself. But it's still very much, he does his research, and there's a lot of other guys out there that do their research on a lot of stuff, for especially basketball, man. I've noticed that there's a lot of really good basketball YouTube channels out there, just really good. Like they break things down, and I'm very much outside of hockey. I guess I'm very much kind of hockey and baseball are kind of my wheelhouses for sports and news and things like that, because they're two sports I got the most obsessed with. Football has been a little tough for me because the Miami Dolphins are terrible. My segments every week show, except for last week when they actually weren't terrible for the miracle. And then basketball, I've always wanted to learn more about basketball. So I watch these guys on YouTube, and I just learn more about the sport every day, and learn about not just the sport, but I guess the sport from a historical level, from a technical level, from a statistical level. So I'm hoping I'll actually round out knowledge when it comes to basketball. College is a little, like, I can't keep up. It's really hard to keep up with college. I don't know how Andrew does it with college football, man. Because that is a lot to keep up with. So it's why I like doing it with my friends. We like doing it. It makes us happy. Makes me happy. I look forward to it. I think that's why people actually cling on to personalities, because there's a lot of people out there that's trying to become famous, and yeah, I got to do promotions and stuff on Reddit, on Twitter, on Tumblr, and things like that, just to promote this podcast, because I do want people to watch, but it's not killing me that I'm not getting 1,000 subscribers every day for the thing, because it's not my bread and butter, or it's not my way of making a means of living. So it's just an outlet, and it's just a fun thing to do, and that's the whole gaming thing. I'm hoping that we can kind of cultivate a sort of a feeling that you're watching this show, and you're not watching or listening to guys talk about sports, and you're just on the outside. I want people to feel like we're your buddies that you're listening to, and you could talk with us. And that's why the whole chat aspect of it, I want to add that to it. That's why the sports gaming aspect of playing old sports games is part of it too, because it's part of being a sports fan, especially one, my age, millennials and Generation Z, or whatever they're calling that. Like, you learn to watch the sport, you learn to love it that way, you play it, you do this, and you game. You buy NBA 2K18, and you buy Madden, and you buy, I don't like soccer, you buy FIFA, or guys who grew up, my age, you remember playing those old PlayStation and N64 sports games, where it was just like everybody was trying to figure out how to do these games. So I'm hoping we cultivate that kind of atmosphere, where it's just you're listening to a group of buddies, and hey, you can chime in too if you want, and we can kind of just go from there. So I guess that's it, everyone. I got to where I needed to get to. The Hawks kind of sort of got back in this game, but I feel like they're gonna get spanked the Pens and the Bruins. The Panthers have been losing lately, and I don't know what to do about that. I try to avoid talking about the Panthers every single time on the cast, because if I do, I'll have a lot to talk about and a lot to complain about, so I don't want to hijack the show. I only do it for the Dolphins, only because I always find something bad to talk about them. So that's it, everyone. Take care. Bye-bye.